We'd like to disconnect, please.
Okay, so why is it that you don't want the faster speed? Help me understand why you don't want faster internet.
Help me understand why you can't just disconnect us.
All of a sudden you're moving and something's making you want to change. What is it that's making you want to change that?
Because that's what we want to do.
Okay, why is that what you want to do?
That's none of your business.
That sound, that isn't just bad customer service. That is the sound of a monopoly that stopped caring because they knew you had nowhere else to go. In 2014, this company was voted the worst company in America. But here is the crazy part. They didn't just beat their competitors. They beat out banks that foreclosed on grandmothers. They beat out oil companies that destroyed oceans. They beat out Enron. For 2 decades, Comcast didn't just sell cable, they operated a shakedown. They weaponized bureaucracy, lobbied to outlaw competition, and turned the simple act of watching TV into a monthly battle for your sanity. And for a long time, it worked. They became one of the wealthiest media empires on the planet by being the most hated brand in the country. But empires built on misery don't last forever. The cracks are forming, the subscribers are fleeing, and the cord-cutting revolution is finally holding a knife to their throat. This isn't just a story about bad internet. This is the story of how America's biggest bully finally met its match. This is the rise and the inevitable fall of Comcast. To understand the hatred, we have to understand the hustle. It starts in 1963. Ralph Roberts, a businessman who ironically made his first fortune selling suspenders and belts, decides to buy a tiny cable system in Tupelo, Mississippi. It had 1,200 subscribers. Back then, cable wasn't about HBO or 500 channels. It was literally just a way to get a clear signal if you lived in the boonies. But Roberts saw something others didn't. He realized that whoever owned the pipes into the house owned the customer. Throughout the 80s and 90s, Comcast went on a shopping spree. They didn't just grow, they devoured. In 1986, they bought Group W Cable. In '88, Stora Communications. By 1994, they had millions of subscribers. But the real game changer came in 2002. Comcast bought AT&T Broadband for a staggering $47.5 billion. Overnight, they became the largest cable operator in the United States with 22 million subscribers. They had achieved the triple play, phone, TV, and internet, all bundled together. It was a monopoly in all but name for millions of Americans. If you wanted high-speed internet in 2005, you dealt with Comcast or you dealt with dial-up. They had us exactly where they wanted us. And that is when the arrogance set in. With great power comes absolutely zero accountability. As Comcast cemented its dominance, the customer experience fell off a cliff. The business model shifted. It wasn't about providing a service anymore, it was about retention and extraction. We all remember the horror stories. The 4-hour appointment windows where the technician never showed up. The mysterious modem rental fees that appeared on bills for equipment you already owned. It got personal. Do you remember when a customer received a bill addressed to April Brown after she tried to cancel her service? Or the viral recording of the customer service rep who literally refused, to let a guy cancel his subscription, arguing with him for 8 excruciating minutes? In 2010 and 2014, the consumerist named Comcast the worst company in America. This wasn't just internet trolling, it was a reflection of a trapped customer base. People hated Comcast, not just because the service was bad, but because they felt helpless. They became the gatekeepers. And like any good gatekeeper, they started demanding tolls. This led to the massive net neutrality wars. Comcast was accused of throttling speeds for services like Netflix until Netflix agreed to pay them directly. It was a shakedown, plain and simple. Comcast knew the hatred was growing. They also saw the future, streaming. They knew the pipes weren't enough. They needed to own the stuff flowing through the pipes. So in 2011, they did something massive. They bought a majority stake in NBC Universal. Suddenly, the cable company wasn't just the cable company. They were NBC News. They were Universal Studios. They were DreamWorks. They were the Olympics. But their hunger was too big. In 2014, they tried to buy Time Warner Cable. The government finally stepped in and said, no. That merger would have given them control over nearly half the high-speed internet in the US. It was the first sign that the giant's armor was cracking. And then the inevitable happened, the cord-cutting revolution. For the first time in history, people had a choice. Fiber internet started rolling out, 5G home internet arrived, and streaming services meant you didn't need the triple play anymore. Comcast started bleeding video subscribers. In Q2 of 2022 alone, they lost over 500,000 TV customers. The fall of Comcast isn't a bankruptcy. They are still incredibly rich, but it is a fall from dominance. They are no longer the only game in town. They tried to pivot with their own streaming service, Peacock. It's fine, but it's not Netflix. They are fighting a war on two fronts, trying to keep old cable subscribers from leaving while trying to convince young people that Comcast is a cool media brand. Spoiler alert, it's not working. Comcast isn't dead, but the era of the cable monopoly is. They taught us a valuable lesson. You can buy all the companies you want, but you cannot buy loyalty. If you enjoyed this deep dive into corporate chaos, you're going to love our other videos. Make sure to watch them, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.